One of the biggest challenges people have on the planet is feeling like shit when they don't know what to do. If someone's sharing something profound with you and you don't know what to do or what to say, you say, look, I have no idea what to say or do right now, but I'm here. That's it. That's what real listening is. Just be present.
I'm going to name drop because I think it's phenomenal, the list of people you've worked with. You've worked with Sir Richard Branson, you've worked with Tony Robbins, you've worked with Robin Sharma.
I got my first paid gig at 16 years old. I didn't call it speaking back then. It was running workshops. I was doing training. Some of those people were not speaking when I started.
When we're in shit, being told someone else's story actually doesn't help us much either.
But people go, no. The person in front of me is bawling their eyes out and they want me to help them. And I go, yeah, but you're going to talk shit. You're not going to go into a hospital and someone goes, mate, my head's cut open and my brain's about to fall out. Could you help me? You're going to go, yeah, fine, let's just go with it. No, you're going to go, fuck, I don't know what to do here. Let a doctor come and take over. But I'm here. I'll just hold your hand because I can do that.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Inner Fight Podcast. My name is Marcus Smith. Thank you so much for being here today, every day, 5-Minute Mondays. If you've been here for the last 900 shows, or if this is your first time, I welcome you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. If you like the show, do something good with it. Share it with someone, rate and review it. That might help as well. Or just maybe action what you hear in it. That's even better. That's what I'm doing it for. That's what we've been doing it for the last 900 shows. My guest today is sensational. He has an insane story which started through his childhood and has projected him to where he is today, which he's fully aware of, which we all have an incredible story. Some of us have a lot more awareness about our story than others, and that's even more prevalent with today's guests. He started coaching people, helping people, teaching people, but more importantly, listening to people from a very young age. And today he shares some of that, although we could have gone on for a lot longer. Yes, I'm sorry, this one goes slightly over an hour, so I'll try and keep the intro nice and short. We could have gone on I could listen to this guy, I could ask this guy questions the whole day. He has worked with some of the most high-profile speakers on the planet, although, as you hear about, that's probably not what he enjoys the most, but he's more grateful and thankful to probably the lesser-known people. But he has done fantastic things with people from all walks of life. He's got a great energy, and he teaches me a lot every time I see him. And I hope in the next hour, he's able to teach you something. This week's show announcements. I have to apologize. Last week's show, number 900, the big milestone, member number 1, Jonathan Brooks, didn't have any show announcements. I didn't have anything to say. No, the secret is I was actually on holiday, so I didn't do the show announcements. There's no point in trying to do something current when you're actually not current and not here. Anyway, let's jump into this week's show announcements. This weekend, if you're around here in Dubai, we have it's basically a 24-hour event going on. Carmen, who has been with us for a long time, as you know, has a brother who has a CrossFit gym in Belgium, and in aid of a foundation, a charity, To Walk Again, which, self-explanatory, helps people who have had accidents or the ability to walk taken from them in some certain way, helps them get back on track and support them. In aid of that, Gail is doing a 24-hour challenge solo. It's absolutely monumental. There is something like, let me get this right, 30K of running, 50K row, 50K ski, 100K bike, 3,000 burpees. What am I missing? One person, he's doing it. There is loads and loads. You look at it and you just go, how on earth will this guy do this in 24 hours? He is going to do it. And in support of him doing that in 24 hours, we here at the gym at Inner Fight in Dubai, we are going to host an event for 24 hours, which it sounds a little bit like we're copping out, but we're not. We're going to do those events, so the row, the ski, the run, the burpees, as a community, let's say. It will start at 4 p.m. on Saturday. there is a rumor that I will also be hosting a barbecue in the car park. It'll be quite glamorous. And you can come and get involved. Every 5 hours, a new workout will start, which will be taken care of by one of our coaches. They will be administering it, making sure that you have a great time. And yes, it goes all the way through the night. This weekend here at the gym. It's going to be awesome. And if you listen to this show on Monday, then you didn't need the last 2 minutes. Anyway, let's move on. This coming Tuesday, the track here at Sports City is dry now from the floods, and we'll be back running around it. If you want to join Track Tuesday, 5:59 at the track at Sports City, I'm sure there'll still be a few puddles kicking around. That's okay as well. You know, there's always been puddles there, but it's back on over at Sports City. Everyone is welcome. There's a small charge to the facility on the door to Sports City. Take care of that. Speak to us. endurance@innerfight.com if you want to know more. This is current. It's not so much an announcement of what's going on in our community, but it's current. For those of you that listen to podcast number, I believe it was 894, Ozempic with James Hamilton. In the last week, a book has been released by a gentleman called Johann Hari. Johann Hari is quite a celebrated author. He has 3 books out, Chasing the Scream, Lost Connections, and Stolen Focus, which are in their own area insanely interesting books. And he's quite, am I allowed to call him a geek? He's quite thorough, shall we say. So his research for his books is very deep. He speaks to some super interesting people. And he has just released a week or so ago, a new book called Magic Pill, or The Magic Pill, which is all about what we spoke about in 894, Ozempic. It's an amazing story. I read it last weekend, and he dedicated a year of his life to researching Ozempic. He not only researched it by talking to people, he researched it by getting on the drug. He's had weight issues and a number of different issues related to his weight, eating disorders for pretty much the whole of his life. And so he went on the drug. It is insanely interesting. For those that haven't followed the story, Novo Nordisk, the company who make Ozempic, is now worth over 500, and it's been capped, I think, in Europe, $500 billion. It's the biggest company in Europe and about one of the top 15 biggest companies in the world. I encourage you to, if you're not interested in the book, he, as always happens when these books come out, he's on the podcast tour. I'm probably going to get him on this show. No, hopefully. Well, let's see. I should actually just send him a message. But he's on a lot of the big podcasts at the moment, promoting, talking about his experience and talking about his book. Hop over, have a look, have a listen, and have a think. It's insanely interesting. That's it for this week's show announcements. Let's get into the show. This is episode number 902 of the Inner Fight podcast. Doing good, doing great with Harry Singha. No matter where you are in the world, thanks a lot for tuning in. Let's jump into today's show. Let's get moving. You are definitely the best dressed guest I've ever had, Harry. Welcome to the show.
Mate, I don't know whether that's a compliment to me or you taking the piss out of people that have already been here.
Mate, your story's phenomenal. But where I'd like to start, and you don't have to agree, is really where it started, which was in your childhood, which wasn't really, I guess, wasn't smooth, mate. Kick us off. What was it all about?
No, mate, probably the best place to start. You know, I live my life on this mantra of doing good, doing great. But my whole life, growing up, I experienced things that I wouldn't wish on any child or any adult, right? So, you know, being a kid that grew up in East London, alcoholic father, but the biggest challenge was he was beating up my mum. So I grew up as a kid in domestic violence. But you know what? All those times, when I look back at it now, I always think that... Should I just carry on?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I look back and I always realise I never thought there was anything wrong. I just knew what he was doing was wrong. Right? But I did think, like, him beating the shit out of me was not a big thing. But watching my mum get attacked several times a week, growing up like that, it was all a case of growing up with a father that I hated. But when you ask me like how everything started for me, I would be like that kid that when I left the door of our home to go to school, I'd be like, shut that door, that's pain. I get to school, it's like party. Let's go and have a party. I'm a sucker every second of this day. And I'd be the kid playing football for hours after school so I didn't have to go home. And I never told a single soul what was happening. None of the kids knew, nothing. We never spoke about it at all. But the real thing for me was growing up with everything that was happening, I always felt I'm like one step from, ending up in a children's home or something, because my dad used to threaten to put me in a children's home. And at the time, I'd be like, well, that sounds like a good deal, right? But I was constantly finding out about what social services would do. What's the I knew the out of hours social services number at the age of 12, 13. Right? But I was like there's so many things I could say about my past. I was sleeping rough on the streets of London at the age of 12, 13, 14. But I didn't call it sleeping rough back then. I just meant I weren't going home. I'd catch a bus from East London to Central London and hang out all night. That's what I was doing. And what was I doing? I was feeding the homeless people. And I wouldn't call it feeding homeless people. I was just helping them because I always thought they had it worse than me. And I'd be helping other kids in school because I thought they had it worse than me. My little brain was telling me, if you're miserable at school, you must have it worse than me because I come to school and I'm happy. But I didn't know that. So I'd been conditioned to helping other people from a really young age. And I'm like, I don't care what people call it, God, spirit, whatever. I was like guided that had I not thought I was just like better off than other people, I probably would have gone off on one. So everything started for me as a kid, helping people, doing good. It wasn't until later on I realised I needed to do great as well, right? But bringing that round to 15 years old, I left home, not because of choice, because my uncle tried to kill me in the middle of the night. And I don't want to give the whole full story here, just I'm narrating it at the moment because you asked. But it was in that moment what I called my worst day, because in the morning my mum said to me, you got to leave. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, I can't leave you with everything that's going on. My two sisters had already gone off to university. I've got a younger brother, a couple of years younger than me. But my mum's telling me to go, and social services got involved and everything. And now I realised that I thought there was something wrong with me. But truth be told, it was then that I needed to do more. Because I was like, I don't want to be thinking about I'm not at home and so on. So I was helping so many people. And then I went to visit a children's home with my social worker. One, because I wanted to see what it's like, because I was always like, what's it like? What's it like? But I went in and sat with a bunch of young kids at a children's home and started asking them questions like, hey, mate, did you get your own room? And he's like, well, he must be upset, like, it's got it worse than me, that type of thing. And then I went to ask this girl, like, a question. And as soon as I went to ask her a question, one of the guys freaked out. Said, shut the fuck up. You're one of the lucky ones. And you know what? It was the first time someone said I was a lucky one, but I was like thinking, you have no idea what's happening in my life. But in that moment of him being angry and me getting like ready for him charging at me, but the moment he said you're one of the lucky ones, my face changed and his face changed. And then he said about the girl, he pulled up her sleeve and said, have a look at her arm. She's got cuts all over her arm. Because that's for every day that she's here. And he started telling me about some of the kids, the other kid, this kid here doesn't even, none of them were from London, by the way. They all came from different parts and put in this home. And he said, this kid runs away every Friday night to go and see his girlfriend up north. The police bring him back. And I sat down. He sat down. One by one, all these kids were telling me what happened to them. And you know what? That was one of the first times in my life I thought, actually, fuck, I am one of the lucky ones. Maybe I am. But they didn't know I was a kid, because I came with my social worker. And what happened was, after an hour of it, I was like hugging them, the man hug, give them a hug. I was hugging the girls, and they're like, when you coming back? I was like, 2 weeks time, because that's when I meet my social worker. But what happened was, I was 15, and a week later, it was my 16th birthday. I'm in the youth centre, That's where I used to hang out because I didn't want to be living with my aunt. And my mum's house, right by the youth centre. And my social worker came to me and he said, Harry, I need to speak to you. And you know, when someone comes to me and says, I think I'm in trouble, I was always like, shit, what have I done? Martin, am I in trouble? He said, no. He goes, did you go to a children's home? And I was like, shit, no. And I could see the social worker sitting in his office. I said, it was her idea. She took me. And he's like, calm down. I said, Martin, am I in trouble? He said, no. He goes, what did you do? I said, I didn't do anything. He goes, the manager of the care home has contacted the social worker and asked her when her colleague is coming back to deliver his next anger management workshop. And I was like, Martin, am I in trouble? He said, no. He goes, they want to pay you. I was like, holy shit. Okay, cool. And when he said they're going to pay you, there's me thinking I'm going to buy a house, I'm going to rescue my mum, I'm going to do all of this stuff, right? And he goes, there's a problem though. He goes, I go, what's the problem? They want to pay me. He goes, what are you going to do? I said, my anger management workshop. I have no idea what he was talking about. But he said, they can't pay you, like 16. Today's your birthday. He goes, I'll tell you what we'll do. Social services will give funding to youth service, and youth service is where and they'll give me expenses. I was like, whatever, let's do it. And literally the week later, I went back, and there wasn't 5 kids there anymore. It's like 10 of them sitting there. I was like, what am I going to do now? And I literally sat down and I thought, what did I do last time? And my brain was like, just shut up and listen. That's all I was doing. And actually, believe it or not, for your listeners, your viewers, one of the biggest challenges people have on the planet is feeling like shit when they don't know what to do. If someone's sitting in front of them and pouring their hearts out. And at 16 years old, I realized then that I was doing 2 things. Number 1, listening. The second thing was I was believing in them. Not believing what they were saying, because sometimes people bullshit and so, but I was believing in them. And I realized that a few years later, that's what I was doing. But literally 1 hour there, and those guys thought I was a social worker or a youth worker and so on. And I said, from that moment, my career sort of started, because people are like, what did you do with them? These kids have never been the same. And I'm like, holy shit, like, you guys must be terrible. I'm just sitting there listening to them. But what happened was they were having someone who was like their age, talking to them, going through it. And I was just coming up with shit like, you know, maybe don't swear at your key worker and stuff like that. That would just make common sense, right? And then I was like, social services had given so much money to youth service. And there's only so much McDonald's you're going to buy with expenses. They had thousands. So they go and send you on a course. And I was like, yeah. And then I was looking, and they said a counselling course. I was like, holy shit, I can actually help people now and get some training. So I went on this course, and it was like 30, 40 people on this course, all 40, 50 years old, mainly women, two, 3 guys who looked like Gandalf, they're like 100 years old, and Dr. John Pratt, who also looked like he was 100 years old. And I thought, what am I doing here? I'm a brown-skinned kid from East London in Oxford on a residential course, thinking I've got a weekend here with you. But after the first break, bro, I fell in love with all of them because I was accepted and they're teaching me shit about how to help people. And I was like, this is amazing. And speed it up a bit is I got to the end of that 2-day course and people were getting their certificates because you go like 2 weekends and some people on their second, and they're getting their certificates. And I'm like, going to get mine, John, am I going to get mine when I come next time? He's like, no, you're 16 years old. You can't get this certificate until you're 21. I was like, shit, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I said, that's like double my life. And do you know what I did? I did the same course for 6 years. Wow. The same course, studied a different module of therapy and so on. And then I had already started creating projects from the age of 17, 18. By the time I was 21, I was the chair of the mental health service providers across East London. And at that point there, though, the truth be told, I still didn't take care of me. I didn't take care of me until I was like, sort of like 23, 24. And that was when I started to help people because I wanted to, not because I needed to. That was the big shift for me. So, yeah, I don't know how much deeper you want to go into it, but yeah, I had a colourful childhood, start. But it's all good.
When listening is a hell of a skill. Where do you think you got it from?
That's a great question. And you know what? No one's ever asked me in that way. Because the first thing, because obviously now as a speaker coach and teaching people about communication, I tell people, do you know who I learned my communication skills from? They're like, was it Tony Robbins? I said, think whoever you want. Right? I said, I learned my communication skills from a 16-year-old girl called Tina Tellis. Tina Tellis was somewhere where I was volunteering for with social services. Because at 16, 17, I thought, what job do I want to do? I thought, I'll go into social services. Right, that's what I want to do. And she had what called muscular dystrophy. She was in a chair that was reclined. She couldn't physically move. Nothing in her body could move except for her eyes. And I remember walking into this place on my first few days, and I walked through the hallway, and she was sitting in a chair, and I walked past, and someone was walking with me, and she made a sound, and I went, oi. Because we're like that, you know, it doesn't matter who you are, we say it. And the person, that member of staff, and I said, what? He goes, she's never responded like that to anybody, except her parents. They called a manager and they're like, what'd you do? And I was like, I didn't do anything. I said, hello. I said, all right. So we walk over to her and she's like, you know, looking at me with the eyes, and I'm thinking, I'm back in that same situation where I was, where I don't, you know, when you don't know what to do, just go with the flow. But the short answer is the parents then asked, what are you doing? What did you do? How did we? And I thought to myself, what did I do? And I thought, you know what? I just found out how she was communicating to me, and she was using her eyes. And then I said, but really, I think it's because I said hello. Right? And I thought, maybe because I gave a shit. I thought, I say that, and you know what we're like, you say stuff that people get a bit pissed off with it. People that have been trained for 20 years, and I'm like, maybe it's because I said hello. Maybe it's because I gave a shit, and maybe because I was smiling when I was speaking to her. But after a while, I used to visit this place regularly, because on the request of the parents, they were like, can you find out what you're doing and train other people to do it? So I got this mission of communicating with Tina Tellis. And I was like, fuck, I can't listen to anything because all I can hear is, right? I can hear that. But I learned all my communication skills from this young lady, that when her eyes went this way, when her eyes went this way, and her eyes would open, it would close. So when you asked me this question about listening, I was thinking there's listening with these things, and then there's listening in a totally different way. And I just think by shutting up, when I didn't know what to do, I should just shut up and listen. And I think for me, that's where I picked up the value. And then obviously you go on counselling courses and they teach you empathic learning, attentive listening, and you get all of these things, right? But I just feel that through being guided by being put in front of people with the most profound challenges as a kid, helping them, I just went to my default of listening rather than, you know, trying to fix something. Right? And I think sometimes, you know, it's like the simplest things, but I call it the simplest things on the far side of complexity. We start off with things that are simple and then they get really complicated. And then after a while we come down the curve and now it's simple again, but it's there. So listening is one of the most basic things, yet the most powerful things that you can have. And you can do all the attentive listening, empathic listening, you can do all of that. But I think listening is sometimes just shut up and listen for the music behind the words. That's what you do. And if you can't feel anything, it's fine. But the point is, I've had this thing where I share with people that if you had 1 minute left on this planet and you got someone in front of you, what's the greatest thing you can do is be present. And I thought, that's what real listening is. Just be present. And if someone's sharing something profound with you and you don't know what to do or what to say, you say, look, I have no idea what to say or do right now, but I'm here. And that's it. So I'm so glad you asked the question, because people talk about listening and we do this. I'm like, listening just means, in my East London thing, it's like shut up. But what it really means is be present. Be present.
You said something there that is almost the opposite of listening, and that's immediately fixing. You could have gone into any of those situations that you've spoken about so far and gone, all right, lads, it's all good. I've also been through this shit. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to fix it. Yeah. And we know when we're in shit, being told someone else's story actually doesn't help us much either. But what's the balance, mate, between listening and then starting to help someone fix?
Yeah. Wow. Dude, did you get these questions rehearsed? I just
Chat GPT, mate.
No, honestly, there you go. It's brilliant, because the thing is this. I always feel like my training came from University of Life, meaning, remember I told you I never told anyone what happened to me. So I was already helping people, and I wasn't going to tell them. I didn't tell anybody else, so I wasn't going to tell them, right? And I used to say things like, I feel what you're feeling, but I can't understand exactly what's happening to you because it's like you're different. I should say stuff like that. And then I was like, should I say something? Should I share something about me? But as soon as I said that, should I share something about me, I realised, well, it's not about me, especially if I'm being present. Right? But don't get me wrong, I mean, even early in my career, even now, you still got a part of like, mate, I suggest you do this. I want to give you this. I want to do this.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think I go through these cycles and I always say to people, even as speakers, when we look at speakers now, I say to people, it's people standing on a stage pouring their heart out. That stage therapy stuff. I say, that's great for you. I said, if you are going to share something about you, it's got to be something about you that is relevant in terms of something to help them, rather than you just sharing it for the sake of sharing it. Right? It's good, trust me, if you've got shit happening and you've what I call emotional constipation, if you've held on to that, get it out however you want. Speak it, sing it, dance it, write it, rap it, do what you want. But don't tell me you're doing it for others. Right? If you're doing it for others, I will take parts of my story because it helps me communicate that particular message. So it's not an easy thing. It's like, that holy grail of, can you transcend most of your ego to literally turn around and go, what is it that I've got that's relevant? And I train speakers now to say, don't tell people what to do. Share what you do. Share what you do. Because you know what, I've done things and then 10 years later I'm doing different things. So do I have to go back and tell all those people, that thing I told you doesn't work anymore, right? Because we live in that age where everybody thinks they're an expert and so on. So I always say, when it comes into that bit about giving people advice, if you know your shit, you do want to share. Look, I did this. But really come at it from a standpoint is, can I share what I do and what I've shared with others? That would be the best way to come with your own stuff. But if you feel something in your story will help that person feel you understand them, then by all means go for it.
I guess a word that's used a lot and is quite sort of prevalent in this situation is empathy. And I think you mentioned it, mate. Do you think we understand what empathy is?
I think a lot of people go on training and understand empathy. I'd like to give everyone I'll give you what I have for empathy, right? And it's, you know what it is? It's being in this world as a communicator. I'm constantly like, how do you take something and communicate it to a 10-year-old, right? So when it comes to empathy, that was the other part of my journey. When I was 16, 17, I wanted to have child protection training, safeguarding training, that all the doctors, nurses, teachers, everybody that was statutory were getting training. And I was like, I want that training because I'm working with kids. And then I went on this child protection training. I was like, holy shit, I've got to teach people that. And why are we teaching adults? We need to teach kids child protection. So I went, I'll go and do it. So I was like, how do I take this complicated shit that you just taught me and go and teach kids at school? So I got good at that. So when it comes to empathy, I talk about empathy versus sympathy. Right? And I say empathy is like, imagine that person is sinking in quicksand. Sympathy is you jumping in there with them. Empathy is you put one foot in there, but keep your weight on one foot here, right? Because that way you can feel what they're feeling, but you ain't sinking. Slight difference, and I don't know whether that's the real robust thing. It's just my definition. After going on counselling training and learning about empathy and all these other things, to me, empathy was that bit about, it's like there's an element of power in there that you've still got strength. Because otherwise, if everybody's thinking, you're all screwed, right? That's the point, right? So sometimes we're like, oh, mate, I feel your pain. And I was like, that's sympathy, right? I really feel sorry for you. If you're in a position of like helping someone there, I'm like, you need to be grounded. So I use that metaphor of one foot in, so you can still be with them as close as you can, but not in with them. And then so you can always come back out and actually pull them out as well if you need to.
People feel perhaps uncomfortable with the situation, and therefore, in simple terms, mate, come out with an absolute load of bollocks.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is neither helpful on a sympathetic, so we're not drowning together. Yeah. Because if we're going to drown, having a hug before we drown,
that's it.
It's all right.
That's it, yeah.
And we're not empathetic, where we've got that foot out and we're able to pull them out.
Yeah.
Why do we talk?
It's because of what I said earlier, mate. It's like there's a psychological term called helplessness, right?
Yeah.
And it's the worst thing you can feel. Right? If, like, you know, when we go to learn something, like anything we don't know, we feel like shit, right? Because if we don't know, it means we're not good enough, and if we're not good enough, then all the rest will happen. So I always say that when people start talking shit just for the sake of talking shit, it's usually because they're like, I don't know what to do in this moment. So here's my caveat on it. It's okay for you to not know what to do. But people go, no, fucking like the person in front of me is bawling their eyes out and they want me to help them. And I go, yeah, but you're going to talk shit. Because you're not going to go into a hospital and someone goes, mate, my head's cut open and my brain's about to fall out. Could you help me? You're going to go, yeah, fine, let's just go with it. No, you're going to go, fuck, I don't know what to do here. Let a doctor come and take over, right? But I'm here. I'll just hold your hand because I can do that. So this is that bit where people don't want to look stupid. They don't want to look like they don't know. And that's the ego in there. And I always say, put yourself on the other side. If I was feeling like shit and I was pouring out my heart to you and this had happened and that had happened and whatever, and you're like, mate, I get it. Why don't you try this? Or, someone could have done this. My other mate tried this. And I'm like, You know what? I'd much rather you go, fuck, mate, I can't even comprehend what you're feeling. And I have no idea what even to say to you in this moment. But I'm here. I'd be like, fuck, I'll give you a hug. And you know, most of the people that I work with, like on the extreme end of mental health challenges, people who are sectioned, people that I love dearly, who've had moments where they're about to jump in front of a train and have police and people, hold them back. And when I say to her, I was like, what was going through your mind when you did that? She goes, Harry, nothing. Nothing was going through my mind. And people like that, I would then ask them those questions. When someone who's bulimic, and someone goes, oh, you look really great. Oh, you should keep doing more. They're like, I don't want to hear any of that shit. What they want to hear is, I'm not you. I don't know what's happened. But I care about you so much that if you ask me a question, sometimes I might just throw shit at you because I don't know. But be okay with that. And do you know what it is? It's so relieving to be able to say, look, I don't know. Right? But we're conditioned with, if you don't know, what have you been doing for the rest of your life, right?
Nonsense,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we just come out with bollocks.
And I think it comes back to what I said is, instead of telling people what to do, tell people what you would do, just share what you do and say that. I'll just share what I would be doing and so on. But I think always come back to it and realise this is about us. And in that moment, if you're feeling like shit, you can't be focused on them. So,
Yeah.
because you're constantly like, oh shit, what? And you're up here.
Yeah.
But if you're totally present, this is the paradox. If you're totally present, some of the shit that comes out of your mouth is transformational.
This mic is playing up, but still, we'll keep going.
I have no idea what to tell you to do with that, bro, but I'm here in case you need me.
I've been getting in trouble a lot. This mic's been playing up. I've been getting into trouble a lot. We've already lost one podcast recently. 900. This is the 902nd show, and I think in the whole time we've lost 3. And recently, that's why I keep looking at the levels here. Maybe he'll edit that out. Maybe we'll keep it. But it's about the presence that you said, being present, and actually, I think it's harder because this is my thoughts on it. If I'm with you and you've got a hard situation, the easy thing for me to do is try and distract us both by giving an example of when I was doing something that actually to you at that moment is not even fucking close to what you're in. That's the easy thing. The hard thing to do is for me to look at you in the eye and go, I'm here. There's no time constraints. I'm here. And to be comfortable with this silence, if that's what it is, and this energy and this emotion, and just to sit or to hug or to hold hands or just to look at each other. That's the easy bit is going, the hard bit is just going, all right, mate, that's okay. And I'm here. 100%. And I'm not going.
As you said it, mate, it was like, if this is the person who's going through the trauma while they're sharing and talking with you, and you're the person there that is coming across as you're helping, by you being in a place where you know everything, makes me feel more shit.
100%.
Got it? So this is that whole thing. So when you sit there and go, you can be vulnerable with me, like saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
And these are little subtle, invisible things that help people more and more and more. Because it's like if we go to someone and we put them on a pedestal, I come to Marcus, like, oh, he knows all this. He's up here and he's going to do this. Like, notice he's up there, he's up here. If he's up here, where the hell am I? I'm down here. Right? Yeah. And it comes on to another point that I always say to people that I have this saying called, if you spot it, you got it. Because people will come to me and go, oh, Harry, what you said there was so profound. Harry, you're really inspirational. Harry, as a speaker, you're engaging with these people. And I turn around and go, oh, thank you. But if you spot it, you've got it. And they look at me and go, what? I say, someone might not see what you just saw in me. Someone might go, Harry, your accent, I can't understand the word you're saying. Harry, like, you know what you said? It didn't make any sense. Oh, I studied with this. And they'll say whatever. But I said, the reason is this, is if you spot it, you got it. And they get like, oh, yeah. But I said, let me give you a caveat on that as well. If you see someone and you think something's great, the reason when I say you spot it, you got it, so you don't put them on a pedestal. The message is, it's in you, so do it more. The same way, if you bitch and moan about someone, they're down there, that's in you too. Yeah. And once again, the message is, say thank you, and don't do this. Right? So that way you can be fairly sort of level-headed with it. But that's a really great point that you make there, that the person who sometimes has the power and the authority, the social workers, the teachers, and it's like, the more you give me, it starts having that law of reciprocity as well. You've helped me and I've got to help you, or you've been, mate, I even had someone who's a dear friend of mine. I asked him to do something for me for our project that we're doing young people. And he came back 3 days later with a voice message, said, mate, I am so sorry it's taken me 3 days. I couldn't do what you asked me to do. I spent 2 days banging my head going, oh, he's helped me so much and I couldn't do that. I was like, he was boom, and I went, mate, it's all right. I put your in credit with me because you've helped so many other people. That's it. But he was beating himself because he's like, he's done, and everybody's competing with this, you give me something, I've got to give you back something. I'm like, if I give you something, I don't need it back from you. It's coming back from somewhere else, right? And if you give me something, I don't need to give back to you. It's like, but people struggle with that. People do struggle with that.
Your skill set, mate, you've given us an insight to where it started, where it's been along the way. And I'm going to name drop because I think it's phenomenal, the list of people you've worked with. You've worked with Sir Richard Branson, you've worked with Tony Robbins, you've worked with Robin Sharma, all of perhaps people that we see as just the layman as like the energy that Tony Robbins has when he speaks is insane. Robin Sharma is very, very different, but every time Richard Branson speaks, I want to listen. What have you done to those guys?
First, if you sit in them, you got it in you. Right? That's the thing. Some people go, Tony Robbins, I can't understand him, whatever. Right? So if you spot it, you got it. You know what it is? Because I started so early. Right? You got to understand, I got my first paid gig at 16 years old, but it wasn't I didn't call it speaking back then. It was running workshops. I was doing training, right? So you got to realise, 35 years later, some of those people were not speaking when I started. Right? I mean, Tony's like 40-something years in. Tony's about 10 years older than I am. But my point is, some of those guys who are like A-listers right now might have been speaking for the last 20 years. Right? So I've seen people come and go, but because I'm on the speaking circuit with a lot of them, and then with Tony, I've been with Tony like over 25 years where I was helping create and run his youth programs. But when he spoke on the big stages, I get to speak before him, I get to introduce him. But if you are seen as a speaker coach and you're at events, people go, can you give me like a tip? So I used to give people little tips. But, you know, like you remember when they go, do you really want it? I'm like, that's when I go to town. Someone goes, give me a tip, I'll give you a tip. And then they're a bit like, oh, right? But the real, what I call leaders on the planet, they're always learning, they're always humble. Tony will still say right now, he goes, he's not a really profound speaker. He will say that, right? But I created a system just by watching people. I created a system. We and I were talking about world-class coaches earlier. When I created the World Class Speakers Academy, people were like, world-class. I said, no, it's my freaking acronym. For everything that I teach people, CLASS, C-L-A-S-S, is how to create a presentation that does so many things that all the pro speakers do. World, W-R-L-D, was how you deliver it, right? So for me, it's more a case of, another way when my career was taking off was, I used to take on the MC role. And I made it my own because, you know, when you go to these events, oh, mate, could you MC? You're like, yeah, no problem. And the person asking you to MC doesn't really know what MCing's about. But I'll give you and all your viewers, listeners, as an MC, it's all about stakeholders. You're going to make sure that every single stakeholder gets value. So when I say stakeholders, well, if you're the host, well, you're one of the stakeholders. So I'll be like, Marcus, is there anything that you need me to communicate to this group of people? Is there anything like, are there any sponsors you want me to mention? Like others not going to, I'll do what you tell me what you need. I'll bring that in if I can. And you're like, wow, really good there. Second thing is, I'm going to make sure this event is my event now. I'm going to make sure it runs smoothly. I'll make sure everybody, and then you know why? Because guess what? Your speakers are stakeholders. I'm going to introduce them like the Don. You see the audience? I'm going to make sure that they get value of every single session. I'm going to make sure they're in the room. That's for your speakers, such and such. And then the venue. Imagine we're at the Marriott. I'm like, I'm going to big up the Marriott because they're stakeholders as well. And then there's me. So I take care of myself. Now, what would happen is I would introduce the speakers and they were like, shit, and can this guy introduce us wherever we go? And we're in the green room and this is how I start building a relationship with them and so on. But that was that thing about being with so many speakers going, mate, I saw what you did there. That works with this. I saw what you did there. I saw what she did. Bang, bang, bang. So it's literally a case of, you know, over nearly 4 decades of doing it, you have to be a complete idiot to not pick up what the patterns are when it comes to, when I say world class, I'm talking about a standard. And it's like anything, you want to have a world class standard at speaking. It isn't about you doing millions of hours of X, Y, Z. It's just about, okay, here is the framework, but be authentic within it. That's all. Otherwise, anybody that's too polished, robotic, and I see it. There's schools of training where everybody's standing there, raise your hands if you do this, thank you, and they do all of this stuff, yes or yes. There's all these little things that you can see someone's been on a training program. I'm like, here are a bunch of tools. Use which one you want. But if one of these doesn't float your boat and you want to do something else, do it. But make sure you compensate for it. So I call it authenticity with purpose. So there's a million different little tweaks you can make depending on where people are at and so on. So yeah, when you say all about these people, when you say your name dropping, like it's like they're all people. They're all people. It's like, I think as a kid, I was never starstruck. Even as a kid, I used to go to Deepak Chopra and go, there's nothing on spirituality for kids. If you don't create, I'm going to take your stuff and I'm going to go and teach it to people. Same I said to Tony. If you don't have something for kids, I'm literally going to take your shit. I'm going to go and train people. And people Deepak actually wrote a book called Fire in the Heart. That was his attempt for creating like some spirituality. It's basically about a kid, but it wasn't for kids.
Yeah.
And I remember at University of East London, I used to run a session once a month called Unpack Deepak. So I would take his synchrodestiny stuff and I would teach people like at university about it. So yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I am so grateful for so many of those people who gave me a fortune I could never repay. So I can support them with that. But I think mostly what I do is I help them with their people. So like if I came here and you're like, hey, Harry, help me with speaking, I was going, great, but what about the rest of your people? Right? That's all of that. So yeah, there are so many beautiful souls. There's some crazy ones out there as well. But yeah, it's been a blessed journey with all the people that are there. And there's amazing new people that come in on the scene, and there are people that are still on the scene that should not be on any stage. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's there.
One stat which I think it fluctuates a little bit, and I've seen it anywhere between 70% to 90% of public speaking is actually not what you say, it's body language. Talk to us a little bit about body language on the stage, and if someone is listening that wants to steal your skill set without paying it for it, which is not nice, but carry on. Like, how is it? Do you believe, first of all, mate? Do you believe that that's true?
100%. It's not what you say. It's not what we say. It's how we say it. It's very, very true. And then most people think it's just body language. But if we say it's not what you say, if we think of the word language, if we think of communication, right? So there are 3 major ways that we communicate. There are some other more spiritual ones in that sense when we talk about presence. But one is body language. And that is like, well, I always talk about maths and so on, right? I was like, it's 55%, but in East London terms, it's a lot. Right? So when we're communicating with our body, what you say and what your body says, people will listen to your body. So I could be saying to you, I hate you, bro. I really do detest you. And I'm smiling at you and I'm like, I hate you, right? So you're like, you're not feeling the hate. But if I said, I love you, you ain't feeling the love either, right? So the point is the words are only 7%. So you don't need to be a mathematician to realize it's like a lot left. 93% is your body language and how you use your voice. So when I teach people, I say, if you want to learn the art of engaging with people, and that's what communication is, energetically you engage with people. But if you want to communicate with people and engage with an audience, I say, I need you to be a DJ mixing. And they go, what do you mean? I said, I need you to mix up your language. And I'm not talking about if there's an audience of Russian, German, this, that. That's what we use translators for, right? I'm talking about you speaking human to human. You need to mix your language. You need to realize that your body your voice, all of these things here, whatever you're saying with your body is 55. How you're using your voice, you don't want to have a mismatch. Right? That's one part. But then I go deeper and say that how we use our body and how we use our voice, there are what we call that submodality on it. So what I mean by that in the simplest terms is this. Watch anybody. In fact, this is a task I give you and I give them. Watch anybody speak, or even you speak and record yourself. And what I want you to do is this. This is what I do for my clients, and I tell other people to do it. You send me you speaking reel, and here's how I'll watch it. I'll watch it 3 ways. 1, I will watch the video, and I will turn off the volume, and I'll play it slightly fast. I can see you line dancing, and I'm constantly going, what is this person saying to me through their body? But here's the key part of it. Are they saying the same thing for long periods of time? Are they speaking to me in just one language with their body all the time, or the majority of the time? Then I'll rewind it, put it back, and now I've either blackened the screen out, or I've closed my eyes, and now I'm listening. I'm not listening to what they're saying. I'm listening to yeah. Has it done this? Or has it been like hi, this is the 6 o'clock news, and today we're going to go over to Melbourne, and there is Jenny, and Jenny's going to be, and it's just monotone. Right? So when we know what the word monotone means, but we can be monotone in our body, we can be monotone in our voice, and even words. But if you take the 2 biggies, body and voice, if you are naturally someone that's like, oh mate, yeah, whoa, you need to slow down sometime. Because there's people in the audience going, right, and the moment you slow down and go, Anne, you know what's really important? They're like, oh, he's talking to me. And the other people that are like, they're like, where did he go? Right? But as long as you come back, when we say it's not what you say, it's how you say it, it's more about engagement, which is far more important than just you communicating a message. Right? So, yeah, we can go on town on that, but I have no challenge in sharing it, because these are only secrets, because some people think like, I'll hold it and then you've got to charge $1 million to do it. Everything I've just said to you so far, what do you think a 1-year-old, 2-year-old baby's doing when you're speaking to them? You turn around and go, I hate you, you gorgeous little thing. They're like, I love you too. Yeah. Because they're picking up on that communication. Yeah. They're listening to your voice. They have no clue what you're saying. Would you like to eat this carrot or this piece of shit? They don't know what you're saying, right? Totally. So my point is, it's what we were already wired to. So communication is like, I think communication is our second superpower. Our first superpower is imagination. So communication is that tool that can make and break anything. But yeah, you're 100% right. It's not just the body language. It's, too many people caught up with a message, and then it's like speaking on one radio channel, and only the people listening to that radio channel are listening, or can get it. So
I think Tony Robbins, actually what he says, I find a lot of it insanely cliche. Like a lot of it, if you were reading it as a text, or how someone reads 6 o'clock news, you know it all, not all of it, but 80-90% of what comes out of the guy's mouth is simple, you've heard it before, or it's cliched. Yeah. The way and the energy that he delivers it with, that's what makes him as a speaker.
We live in a world now where you've got influencers who are literally just taking wisdom that's been there for years, right? But they really got good, like Prince EA, that taking that knowledge and communicating it in a way that people actually consume it. It's like when you think about the world that you're in, the whole, inner fight and health and all the rest of it, it's like everyone's talking about saying things, but the point is, it's like how you're saying it might make that person take action. Yeah. So yeah, 100%. It's like Tony mastered the art. And even my clients, I say to them, I want you to become edutainers. Not just an educator, and not just an entertainer. Because a great story is like when Pitbull came and spoke on Tony Robbins' stage. It was in London. And you think you're in there, like 10,000 people and Pitbull's coming on. You're like, and the whole room is set up for a nightclub now because he's coming on. Music comes on, he comes in and he starts talking. Hey everybody, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my thing. When he came on, it's Pitbull. Everybody's got their phones out, this. And Pitbull starts talking. After 3 minutes, people are like, and they're like, now shouting at him, singing. He goes, shut the fuck up, I'm talking to you. Because what it was, they were like, we want you to sing. Because I see people, there was a guy that won Arab Idol or whatever, and I remember he was speaking on the stage with my client. And when he came in, people went nuts, right? And the phones were out, and then he started talking. And I was telling him, his manager, my client there, who is the leading speaker in the whole Arab world, not just because of what I'd done, just because of his heart. I said, you see Motaz there? He's a speaker. And he can keep that audience engaged from the morning till night for 5 days. I said, as soon as your guy starts speaking, you could tell he's a singer, not a speaker. And that's that element of how do you take all these skills and put it in a way, like it's a movie, it's a show, but there's an education element of it, there's a transformation part of it. And yeah, anything you can do to help someone get there is really important. But I was about to say, help them understand what you want to understand, but that might be a whole topic. I always say it's more important that your audience feel understood than it is you being understood.
Yeah.
Super, super important.
In the opening, about your own story, mate, you said something which I want to revisit. You said you never told anyone about your situation at home. Now you speak obviously very openly about it, and I guess you've processed it. But unfortunately, there's people that are still undergoing domestic violence. Something like 30% of homes in America have some form of domestic violence. That was the only stat I could find. I couldn't find too much for the rest of the world, which is...
Triple it, and there's some cultures, triple it.
Some cultures are a lot more. I thought it was actually quite low and conservative, but it's alarming, this 30%. My question is, why don't we, or why didn't you let it out?
Me as a child back then I felt if I said anything, my mum would be at more danger. That was my God's honest truth back then. I remember only 2 occasions when my sister called the police. And the police came once, took my dad away, and he came back the next morning. That one night was one of the most painful nights of like, when he comes back, what the fuck's going to happen here, right? So I was always constantly thinking, what's the best thing for my mum? Do I tell someone? No one's going to do anything. You know, growing up in the 80s in UK, it was like, there isn't anyone. I mean, I don't know any of these aunties. I ain't got any aunties or uncles that I could tell them. My dad was a community leader. And I was like, trust me, when people go, you'll be a leader one day, I don't want to be a bloody leader, right? But my dad was seen as like, you know, a big player in the community. And I was like, no one's going to believe a shit. They're not going to believe anything I say, right? If I tell a teacher, I'm going to be taken away. All of that type of stuff. I used to think like that. So I don't want to tell anybody in case... And we never spoke about it. My brothers said, we don't speak about it. Shit would happen, we don't say anything. I just avoided my dad. That's what I was doing. But in terms of statistics and also about this other bit is, when I started sharing my story, because like I said, when I got into 20s, then I started to go, okay, I've helped so many people, I need to help myself, right? And when I wrote my book, it's called What the Fuck's Going On, right? I literally called it What the Fuck's Going On, because that was the question I was asking all the time. But here was the thing, I'd be in a room full of people, whether they were school kids or whether adults, and depending on which culture, people would be lining up to come say, mate, I relate to your story, meaning they were there. And they'd be asking things like, how do I help my dad? And everybody's in a different place. I didn't want to help my dad back then. I didn't want to help my dad. I just want to help my mum, right? Everybody's got a different place. Everybody's got a different reason. But I find something where it's like, it comes back to what we said earlier. When you don't know what to do, you just don't do anything, right? And for some people, it's too painful. You know, we're now in an age where people are like doing breath work and releasing traumas. And I'm a big fan of that because it's like, it's that emotional constipation of energy is there. And here's the challenge, and this is what happened to me and happened to many other people is, once you numb it, once you don't talk about it, once you suppress it deep enough, it's numb. So you don't actually feel the pain. You know it's there. And that's why I prefer, you know, I'm East London, I like to do in crude. When you hold on to shit and it's still there, you won't be constipated. And you might think it's not there, but where's that shit gonna go? And you're not looking forward to it. So here's the crux of it. There's more pain in letting it out than there is in holding it in. And that's like whether you've got women or even men who are in domestic violence situations where they're like, okay, I'm getting the shit kicked out of me, but if I leave, what happens to the kids? What happens to my financial security? What happens to all of this? What happens to it? And they tend to go, the easier option is to stay. Because most people who are being oppressed tend to build a sensitivity for other people, right? So therefore they're constantly thinking about others, right? And not everybody's the same, but that, what you said there is, why do people still hold on? One, there's a lot of culture, shame, sweep it all under the carpet. But once it's gone on for long enough, you're like, you know, when you put something off for so long and after a while you're like, should I really bring this up now and so on? But yeah, there are many, many reasons why people hold on to shit, and it's like, none of it is useful. None of it is useful.
It's interesting though, because even as you said that there, mate, I think if you'd have let it out when you were 12 and 13, you probably wouldn't have been able to have the impact that you're having on the world today. Yeah. So things will happen at the time where they're supposed to happen.
100%. It's that thing where right now, on a level of consciousness, people talk about it more now. But when I say to people, and I apply it to my life, when we talk about this level of consciousness of life's happening for us, right? I was like, when I was a kid, I'd be sometimes play that victim role. You had a victim role of like, oh, my dad did this to me. So in a victim role, you're blaming everything. It happened to me. And people think this is the problem. I don't think that's a problem. Because you go from this, I used to blame alcohol. I used to blame my dad. If I couldn't do anything, I'm like, come on, look, all of this happened to me, right? But then you get into the personal development world. I am the voice. So you're like, I'm responsible for this. So you get into that level of things are happening to me, victim, happening by me. I'm in control of this. So we get, and that personal development world is responsible for most of the depression. Because now you can't blame anyone. These are the people that get depressed. These people just get angry, right? Now you're like, oh, mate, I want to be here, but I'm here. Fuck. Sorry, I mash up. But remember, you get to that place where you're like, I'll fix it. Burnout. And then they come along and they speak to some enlightened person who goes, what if it was happening for you? If you get to a place where you get happen for me, you don't have to actually fix it. And then you get to that other level where it's happening to me, by me. So it was happening to me. Now I'm taking control of this. I'm the one that's going to take care of my mum. I'm the one that's going to make sure don't do this. We're going to do this. I want to do. And then you get happen for me. For me? Exactly. What are you I created a model called Light, L-I-G-H-T, which comes straight from this whole thing, where it was like, well, what could I possibly have got from that? Well, maybe that I never raised my hand to my wife. Maybe I've got a little bit more compassion. Maybe it's like, oh, okay, these are for me. But you know what the greater level was? It happened through me. Because if you can take the shit that happened to you and use it for yourself, but then use it for other people, you've gone onto another realm of consciousness. And then later on I realized we get to a point where it's like, through you still requires you to go and share it. And then we got to a place where here, I called as you. Because I remember being in New York, and dinner with like 7 people that we just all met randomly somewhere. There's no random. And they're all talking about what they do. One was a senior cardiologist. One is a top Hollywood star. What did you do? And they go around and they go to me. And I don't know what I was doing at the table. I turned up with my Arsenal top to go meet someone. It was like fashion tech event. And I'm like, I just can't meet someone. And suddenly go, oh, Harry Singha's here. Meet Malik Yovo through his cool runnings. I was like, cool, dude. He's going, what are you doing? I said, I don't know. He goes, shall we go for dinner? He brought a bunch of people. And they got to me at the end and said, what did you do? You know what I said? I just travel all around the world and I plonk myself somewhere and I raise the consciousness of people around me, but without doing shit. And they all looked at me and went, that's why we're here, right? So, yeah, I don't even know what question you just asked me then, but it was like that bit about happening to me, for me. It definitely was for me. Like you and I, we were supposed to have this podcast 6 months ago, whenever it was.
Yeah.
It's always at the right time. The universe makes no mistakes.
It's just hard though, for when you're in it, when you're in that sinking sand that we spoke about earlier, yep. It's hard to have that consciousness and say, this is the way it's supposed to be.
And you know what it is? It's like what you guys train with, inner fire. In that moment, in the moment of doubt is the moment that you have to go to your highest place. I remember I have this word that associate with me called energy, but with a J-I, not with a G-Y. And I always go like, I'm an Indian. When we go and see our aunt, we have to call her Auntie G, Uncle G, Nanny G. And G just means respect. So I kept saying to people like, what's the most important G? And they, Mummy G. I said, no, energy. And I used to make a joke about it. My branding team put like the word energy with the G was like a power sign and whatever. But after a while, I kept saying to people, they go, oh, Mr. Energy. But I just want to be clear that energy now, later on I realized there's a word E-N-E-R. I knew what G meant, J-I. And I was like, come on, E-N-E-R must mean something. You know what it is? It actually is a definition. E-N-E-R is the most valuable person or thing in a system. So I was like, holy shit, for over like 10 years, 15 years, I've been saying energy means respect the highest energy. Enna is actually the highest thing. So I always say to people, if you can be at your highest energy, whether you call it God, light, love, whatever, it's just be in that place. Mate, in the moment of your darkest place. But here's the thing, we can talk about it, but then we become what we talked about earlier, where, oh, yeah, you can say that. When I wrote my book, and I tell people I wrote this book, and I created a model called L-I-G-H-T. L, guess what L stands for? Let it out, right? It was the first step. But I said to people, when I talk about my book, and even in my book, I said, if someone had come to me when I was 18 years old and said, hey, dude, here's this book. It's called What the Fuck's Going On? One Child Journey Through Domestic Violence, How to Turn Your Worst Days into Best Days. If someone came and said, here's a book, How to Turn Your Worst Days into Best Days, I would have beaten them up at 18 years old. Who the fuck are you? You don't know my life. And you think this book is going to turn it around. And you know what it was? I write a chapter in the book before I get into the model and say, there was a place where I was at where I wouldn't have taken this book or done it, but there was something I needed to have in my life. And I relate it to when I was at a Tony Robbins event, and Tony was doing an exercise where he said, close your eyes. And what he said was, think of a time that you're grateful for. But this was like one of my first big events with Tony Robbins in a room, 10,000 people. And I was in the audience. And when he said, close your eyes, what was I doing? I was writing, close your eyes. Because I was going to take what he was doing and I was going to go and take it to kids, right? I was that kid. Oh, you do an exercise? I'm going to go and do that exercise with someone. If it works, fuck, let's do it. So I'm writing down, close your eyes, whatever. And someone comes to me and goes, close your eyes. And I was like, oh shit. Close my eyes, put my hand and I'll go, what did he say? And I didn't hear him. Well, he said, think of a time you're grateful for. What I thought he said was, think of what's great in your life. Mate, I couldn't think of anything great in my life. I'm about 23 years old, and all that time, since 16, I've been helping people professionally. Before that, I was helping them just because, and I'd never taken care of anything in my life. I just worked so hard, helping. I'd go to sleep at night, shattered, but feel good. Now I'm closing my eyes for 3 minutes. What's great in my life? And I can't think of a single thing. And when Tony opens his eyes, goes, speak to your buddy and shit, I'm like, I'm wrecked. American goes, it's okay, buddy. I'm like, fuck you. How can I not think? All I could remember was all the shit that happened that I'd suppressed. Right? And the reason I shared that is when I put the book, I said, we had a meal break. And in that meal break, I've got a workbook with a blank page. I'm going to fill this fucking page with things that are great in my life. I'm not going back in the room. I remember sitting up against the wall, everybody's having their food, and I was writing like, I'm alive. And then my writing got bigger because I was like, I'm not filling the page. But I did that for 30 days. And these days, remember when The Secret came out 10 years or 20 years after, right? That was my gratitude flood, I called it. I flooded myself with greatness. If I didn't think I had greatness in my life, I would never even taken the tools in my own book. So there's probably an answer for you that when people are at their most darkest place, if they don't think there's anything great in their life, it's really going to be difficult. Not impossible. It's going to be really difficult for someone to come along and go, do this. But if you can have that empathy and go, right now, I cannot comprehend where you're at because you're in a different place, I'm in a different place. But if you think there's nothing great in your life, can I be that person? Can I be that thing? Because I'm sitting there right now. And right now, you are the most important person on the planet because that's all I've got right now. You use whatever comes to you. I've had women sitting in front of me thinking I want to have sex with them because every single man that's ever been with them had wanted them for sex. I said, let me be that one, man. And it's like fucked up their whole belief system. Every man wants to do. And if someone's sitting in front of you, you go, no one cares. My life's not worth living. Bum, 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 bum. You might be the last person I speak to. You know? So it's that ultimate thing is we say to people when it comes to speaking, when it comes to doing stuff and so on and communicating, engaging, is like we say get to know them. What's the ultimate thing of getting to know them is by learn their language and then not just language because then you can engage with them. By ultimate, I say KYC. Know your client, know your customer, know your child. And it said, how do you know them? Know their language. But I say, listen, let them know you care. And ultimately, God forbid, love them. If you can have that, this is where people talk about humanitarian. I say, if you're a humanitarian, what does that mean? You love all beings unconditionally. Not unconditionally, without prejudice. That's a high standard. I don't give a shit. Well, we're living in a world where we're dehumanizing people. One person thinks one person's life's worth more important stuff. One person thinks this, that. At the end of the day, it's like if you could just aspire to be someone, if you've got clients, if you're helping people, if you've got children, if you've got community, if you love them, you don't have to do anything. You really don't have to do anything. Do you know what I mean? That's it.
I could listen the whole day. I could keep asking questions. I respect you so much, mate. I respect your time. I respect the listeners' time as well. We're over an hour, which is beautiful. We could go for 2. We could make this a Rogan, but
we'd do another one. And
I think another day I could listen the whole day, mate, and just keep prodding you. It's beautiful.
Let's end it with one thing though, because what you focused on was, and right at the beginning I said it, I live my life on this mantra, doing good, doing great. Because there's so many people on the planet that are doing good, but for whatever reason, life, business isn't great. And the rest of the world, I believe, the majority of the world is conditioned on be great at the expense of doing good. Even, Colin's book, Good to Great, the first line of the book, good is the enemy of great. My book, Doing Good, Doing Great, which isn't out yet, says, fuck that. Doing good is not the enemy of doing great. I get it when it's good and great as a standard, but yin and yang. So there are people doing great in the world, business, all the rest of it, but they're not doing good, and they feel like shit. These people feel good, but their family like, well, we got no food on the table, or, you know, we're struggling, and yeah, but I'm doing good. Right? So this is why that whole thing, and when we do part 2, we'll really get into this doing good. And in fact, the one thing I want to share with everybody on the planet, it's like doing good. I used to create a project, do good. I show people how to do good, create a doing good project, even the great. And then I said to people, what if I could take 1,500 young people representing every single country on the planet and help them create a doing good project, giving them all the personal development stuff as well to do great, and support them for 10 years? That's the Youth Doing Great project, coming soon.
Amazing.
That's all there.
Harry, thank you so much, mate. Your time, your energy, your knowledge, your smile, your waistcoat.
There you go.
Guys, watch the video version. His waistcoat, we started with it. We've got to close with it. I appreciate you, brother. That was all beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.